Hey, what's going on everyone? Today we have the tier list for patch 16.2. There are a few developments that happened recently. So there's a new Gangplank comp out there that I want to talk about, but really it's just the game of Ziggs or the patch of Ziggs. If you don't know what to put in your endgame board and Ziggs fits in any way possible, play him because he is just that good. Honestly, he's so good that maybe even Arrows gets a lot of value here. But let's go into the S tier. We'll go over the tier list and then we'll go over the comps that I think are important to play. And starting up at the top, we have is Bilgewater and Ryze and Ziggs. So these two are still by far the two best comps. Bilgewater plays Ziggs as well. And Fizz is very, very good to play around with. And he just blows up backlines, jumps around everywhere, and overall is a nuisance. Next up, we have in the A tier, we have the Slayer Gangplank comp. Demacia, I bumped up a little bit. And then Void Kaisa, Sona Reroll, Veigar, Ixtal, and Ekko are going to round that out. All very solid options if you can play any of these. In the B tier, Singed Seraphine is still viable if you are lose streaking. Yunara Flex still good. Shadow Owl Kalista still good. Pretty much like all of the B tier, they have spots that you can play them in. You just don't play them as often. But let's go right into the comps. Let's start off with the top board here. I asked in the last video some suggestions for Ryze and Ziggs duo nickname, and the ones I saw in the comments that were good was, I think, Riz and Riggs, but this one plays Fizz, so this one's going to be Figs or Zizz. I don't know which one works better, so I'll let you all argue between that, but we're going to go with Bilgefigs here. You get a bunch of Bilgewater items for various units. You could get a tank one for Tahm Kench. That's probably one of the best ones to get. Any of the ones work for Misfortune and TF in the mid game. Captain's Brew, really good just to apply a lot of debuffs, and then Fizz can use a lot of stuff as well. For your tanks, it's going to be Tahm Kench first and then Wukong second. And then whatever items you have on Twisted Fate, you can move them onto Ziggs in the late game. Fizz really likes Edge of Night. Rabadon's is pretty good, but pretty much any AP works on him. And the way to play this comp is you need Tahm Kench and Fizz unlocks, but Econ Augment helps a lot, and also early Bilgewater. You pretty much want to farm as many Silver Serpents as possible throughout all points of the game, and ideally you have 3 Bilgewater starting on stage 2-1. That way it's easier to unlock champions to get to 5 Bilgewater faster, which can get you to 7 faster, which is what you want to do in the early to mid game. Later on, once you get everything else, you want to drop down to 5 Bilgewater and play some legendaries. So Kindred makes a lot of sense. You get Quick Striker with Twisted Fate. Ziggs is Ziggs. Shyvana, you get Juggernaut with Nautilus, but we have a bunch of other sample boards you can check out here too. One is Misfortune Focus. This is like the older version, and then the 7 Bilge mid game that you can kind of use to just farm up Silver Serpents and get enough for good items and eventually unlock Tahm Kench. But very, very good comp right now. Pretty much one of the best comps in the past 2 patches. So we have covered this one before, but it's still at the very top. Next comp up we have is the Ryze and Ziggs comp. This one is going to have some extremely good late game. The only issue I have with this comp is that you need to get to level 9, so you can't play this every game. Just because you see something in the S tier doesn't mean you can play it every single game, unless I explicitly say so. But in this case, like, Ryze definitely is viable, and he is, I think, one of the best comps, if not the best in the late game. But you can only play it if you have the ability to get to level 9. So if you're able to win streak early, or if you get a super good econ augment, you are able to get this comp up and running and then unlock Ryze with the 4 regions. Kennen is a crucial component there, but you get Ionia, Zaahen, Piltover, and Yordle. And then, of course, you just play Ziggs in the late game. So what items do you want to slam early? It's going to depend on what you get, obviously. So what I like to do is build for 1 carry. So I either focus on my Ryze or my Ziggs. And the good news is that they both are AP, but the good news is that they are both AP users. So whoever you get first can use whichever items you already built. And it isn't the end of the world if you have like a Rage Blade on your Ryze, for example. But once you get to level 9, you pretty much unlock both of them right away if you play correctly, which you will learn how to do after watching this video, or by going onto the website bunnymuffins.lol/meta. But for the unlock conditions, you have Ryze needing 4 regions and be level 9, and Ziggs is also be level 9. And have a Yordle or Zaanite unit have 3 items equipped. So that could be like Mundo or Caitlyn. The best time to do it is on stage 4-7 if you can. That way you spend stage 4-7 at level 9. You put your items on either Mundo, Caitlyn, or someone you're going to sell that has those traits. And then you move on with your day. That way you don't lose a whole fight because you had 3 items on some Dogwater unit. And you get Ziggs right away starting on stage 5-1. You do your roll down and you also unlock Ryze at the same time. And then ideally you get them to start eventually, or you finish off your 4 costs that you haven't completed yet. I want to talk a little bit about positioning because I did get some DMs earlier about how to position certain comps. And one interesting thing that goes against my normal rule is tanks in the center. So normally you have your main tank on the edge of your tank line. So Taric normally is by where Kennen or Mundo is, but a lot of players are protecting their Tarics now. They're placing him dead center or at least sandwiched between some other tank. And the reason why people are doing this is because you need to be reading abilities in 2026, you know? And what Taric does is, we all know he gives your whole team magic resistance, but what some people don't know is that if he dies, you no longer get it. So that's why he is protected a little bit, even though he is your main tank. Set you want on the edge because you want him to die as quickly as possible. That way he heals up and then respawns. And then on the other side, like any of the main tanks, Wukong or Mundo is going to be fine there. And then in the back row, you want your 2 carries near each other. That way the Void Staff is shared between them, and you want your damage dealers to focus the same units generally. So that's kind of the basics of the default positioning. You could obviously switch this up. There are many different ways to do this. Those are some concepts to keep in mind as you are repositioning during your own game. So again, the most important thing is getting to level 9. That's either through win streaking or you get a good econ augment, especially like gold or prismatic is enough to try to help you get to level 9 really easily. For silvers, if you get late game specialists in stage 3, that one's obviously going to be really good, but you don't know that until stage 3, so that's a little bit different. For the other silver, like gold augments or econ augments, they're generally not as good. They can't really guarantee you a fast 9. So I'd say gold and above definitely gives you a bigger sign to go for this comp. I'm not saying you can't reach this with silver, it's just more difficult too. So you might need to have like a strong early game board with the silver econ augment so that you don't lose too much life, and then stabilize a little bit in stage 3. Maybe you got lucky, you got some upgrades without rolling, and then you're like, okay, let me go level 9. That's kind of the thought process you need to use. But yeah, for items, do your best to focus on one of them, but honestly, slam as many items as you can because they can share them. Like either unit can use them, and you also do unlock them at the same time. With that in mind, you want 9 items for this team comp. 3 on your tank, 3 on Ryze, 3 on Ziggs, and then if you get more than that, leftovers on set. So item augments can be pretty good in this build, especially if you are win streaking, because as we all know, if you watch my augment guide from a couple sets ago, we all know that the best augments to win streak with are item augments because they give you the most power in the early game. So they are pretty good for this comp. Obviously, combat's good too. It really depends on where you are in the game. But if you are able to get 9 items by the time you reach stage 5-1, or at least 8 items, you're going to be in really, really good spot. 7 items is fine too if you have 3 tanks, 3 damage, and 1 for the other damage dealer. And then you finish off the 8th and 9th item off the stage 5 carousel and stage 5 neutral round. So all I'm trying to say is that no matter what, you will have people who can use items. So you can't really have too many. But pretty much this whole write-up goes into that in much more detail, but we are going to go into the next team comp. It's going to be the A tiers. We're going to start off with Gangplank Slayers. So this is a new comp. It's going to be a reroll comp that's not a reroll comp, so it's a little different. You might see the 3-star Gangplank, but then you scroll down a bit, you see the fast 8, fast 9 leveling pattern. That is not a typo. It's because you can play this Gangplank build without actually rerolling that much, because you can get Gangplank from your Bilgewater shop. So that's pretty much how this comp gets a lot of copies of Gangplank. I'm not saying never roll, but you're going to be rolling on like level 8 a lot of times because the 3-cost odds for level 8 are still pretty good, but you also get higher chance for getting Bel'Veth and the other units you care about. So one really good way to play this comp is to play Void a little early into the game. That way you get Rift Herald unlocked early. You just need 2 Void units. It's nothing crazy, right? Like, I honestly think they should make Void a 3-5-7 trait, but it's a 2-4-6 in this set, and that means it's very easy to unlock Rift Herald, who is an absolute monster of a tank unit. Doesn't really even need that many traits. It does help a bit if you get, but him and Bel'Veth are a great duo because you get a tank and a damage dealer, and then you get one of the void buffs for whoever you can, and then Gangplank is going to be one of your main damage dealers. As for how to play the early game, as with other Bilgewater comps, you can go deep into Bilgewater. Like 5 Bilgewater is definitely viable because you do still need Silver Serpents to unlock Gangplank. Another thing to note is do not buy anything from the Bilgewater shops other than Gangplank, duplicators, and 15 Serpent stat shards because you really need to prioritize getting Gangplank. The reason why is because, again, you're not rolling too much and you still need him 3-star, so in order to get the most use out of your gold and your Silver Serpents, you need to be very, very cheap with your Silver Serpents and literally only use them to try to get Gangplank as much as possible. The rest of the comp doesn't really matter that much. I mean, you just want to round out the traits in the comp, so for Gangplank and Bel'Veth, they're both Slayers. Gangplank is also a Vanquisher. A very solid Vanquisher to play is going to be Mbessa. You could also do Fiddlesticks, but Mbessa works nicely because you can get Mel as one of your late game caps. And then you could also run the Noxus package because you are running 3 Bilgewater. It's going to be Gangplank, Illaoi, and Nautilus as your Bilgewaters. And that means you want to get a Juggernaut in there. And Swain is a Juggernaut. So if you're running Mbessa and Swain, you might as well run another Noxus unit. And Mel makes a lot of sense there. But for augments, artifact augments are good for this. Gangplank is very, very good with artifacts. We could check that out on teamfight.lol. You could go to Explorer tool, type in Gangplank 3-star, and then we will be able to see pretty much every item that works really, really, really well on him. And you can filter by artifacts, and then you'll see that a lot of them are really, really, really good. Like he averages 3.81 as a regular 3-star, but with these other items like Trinity Force bumps it up by 0.3. There's some insane ones like Mittens, Rapid Fire Cannon, like pretty much a lot of these improve his average placement by a little bit. That's not to say the regular items aren't good enough, but you can see all these here. They do average a little bit higher, right? It's definitely still is playable without artifacts, but it definitely bumps it up by maybe half a tier, nothing insane. There are some units that like literally go a whole placement higher with certain artifact items. This is not one of those cases. It's just one of those like, hey, it does help, but it's not completely necessary. Typically in reroll comps, artifact and radiant items are just better because you just really care about 1 or 2 units. So that's why it kind of works out that way. But in the early game, play around melee carries. It's going to probably be Briar or Kiana. Build Gangplank items when you can. Go to level 8. Use the Bilgewater shop to get Gangplanks. And then you roll for Bel'Veth at level 8. And you will just get Gangplank. With all the free copies plus the duplicators that you get from the Bilgewater shops, it's pretty easy to finish. It's not as difficult as it sounds. In the super late game at level 9, you can get Fiddlesticks into the game. It's not going to happen many games because this board is pretty expensive before that because you still need to get everything else. But after you get Gangplank 3, the super late game cap is going to be level 9 with Fiddlesticks. Just don't do this until you actually get the GP3 first. But that's pretty much all there is to know. Let's go into the next comp. Oh wait, let's talk about items for GP. Quicksilver is absolutely mandatory on him. And then Sterix is just very good. Handed Justice, decent. Handed Justice is really good on Vanquishers because their abilities already crit, so you want to build as much crit as possible, and you don't need stuff like Infinity Edge. Bel'Veth likes a Quicksilver as well. Giant Slayer and Kraken are pretty good too. And then Rift Herald, the only important item is going to be the Even Shroud, and then he's a good user for the Anti-Heal and Sunfire Cape. If you have a Morello, you could put it on either Mel or Swain. And then third item, whatever tank item you want. But yeah, Quicksilver, absolutely mandatory. Edge and Knight is an alternative, but you definitely need one of the two. Next build up we have is going to be the 7 Demacia build. This build got bumped up a bit. It's just very consistent. Nothing too new is going on here. You could play around a lot of the different characters, but the reason why this comp is good, let me see if you pass the pop quiz. And the answer is it's because it runs Ziggs. So any comp that just runs Ziggs randomly is going to be a lot better on this patch, and this just happens to be one of them. Because it plays around Vayne, and then you can play Ziggs as a long shot. A lot of people play Kaisa before they get Ziggs, but obviously you all know what to do. You play Kaisa, and then once you get Ziggs unlocked at level 9, you play Ziggs. Ziggs can also use your Lux items, but I like Ziggs with the utility items. But if you get him 2-star, you can swap them around. But the most important item in this build is going to be having at least 1 Kraken Slayer and 1 Hextech Gunblade. Those 2 items are so good for Vayne and Lux. I generally like having 2 Krakens and 2 Hextech Gunblades whenever I play this, so I could do double Kraken Hextech on Vayne and then 1 Hextech on Lux plus 2 other items. And if you really think about it, Demacia is kind of like the Star Guardian comp of last set, if anyone played last set. It's just one of those comps where all the units do something because they rally all the time. So items just happen to be really good in this team comp. But the board's pretty standard. You run the 6 Demacia plus Galio for 7. Swain is the most logical +1 because he gives you Arcanist, Juggernaut. And then the best long shot for Vayne is going to be Ziggs, and then Fiddlesticks is Fiddlesticks. He can be pretty much played as a +1 in every single team comp. So that's why this comp is so good. It's just another way to play Ziggs, but it's a really good beginner comp. So if you are new to the game or like not that good, this is a good comp just to spam. But obviously in lower ratings, it might be a bit more contested than it is in higher ratings. The sign to go for this comp is to get a Demacia opener. So if you ever have like 3 Demacia at the start with OK items being any component for Hextech Gunblade or Kraken Slayer, you can consider going for this because those items are just very solid. They're not the best in the early game. Kraken's good, but Hextech Gunblade is horrible in the early game. But if you have 2 stars and upgrades, then it should be fine. But don't hard force this comp, only play this with a Demacia opener in my opinion. Next build up we have is Void Kaisa. If you get the early Void start, you could go for the Gangplank build or you could go for a Void build. I like the Void build. As we talked about in previous weeks, you want to focus on either Baron or Kaisa, not both. If you are able to get to level 9, focus on Baron, but most people are just settling for Kaisa and just taking a top 4 and then moving on with their day. Kaisa's build is just going to be the Rageblade, Jeweled Gauntlet, Giant Slayer. She does have an attack damage build as well, but I do recommend going for the AP build in this patch, but in future patches it might change. I mean, you could just look at the Data Explorer to find out for yourself. With the Kaisa items, yeah, the Rageblade build is just going to be a lot better. If we just type in Kaisa here, you'll see that pretty much like, yeah, I mean, with the Baron, let's take Baron out of there. Let's add in 6 Void. With 6 Void, Kaisa, the Rageblade build just performs a lot better than Infinity Edge. Obviously, the Baron is really good for the late game cap, but you're not going to get that in all of your games. But pretty much the only thing you need to get going for you to make this build work is going to be getting Void early so that you unlock Rift Herald. Rift Herald is so good when you get him in stage 3. I swear, once you get him, you just win every round after that. And then you're able to get to Kaisa after you get to level 8. She is a bit difficult to unlock. Some people level up on stage 3-7 because you need level 8 plus 3 items on a long shot. And Kog'Maw is normally the item holder for that. So you just put the items on Kog'Maw and then remove them. Or you just have a different sniper in there and then sell them. But in order to avoid the trouble of sacking around, a lot of people just level up to level 8 on stage 3-7, and then they're ready to go on stage 4-1. You do need a lot of econ to do that. I don't recommend doing it if it puts you to like 0 gold or something like that. So generally, when you are playing this comp, make sure you do have at least decent econ. I'm not saying you need the most ever, but something at least decent is good enough. Like if you're able to get to level 7 on 3-5 without sacrificing too much gold, maybe you have 40 gold at that point, that makes this comp a lot easier to play. And those are the type of games I would level up prematurely at 3-7 in order to unlock my Kaisa. If you're low health, maybe if you're level 7, 30 gold on stage 3-5, I'd be a bit more desperate and do that as well. Next build up we have is going to be the Sona Reroll build. A lot of people love Sona Reroll just because it's easy to play and it's another one of those Demacia comps. But it also is like pretty consistent considering it's a 1-cost reroll. We don't get that many times. So Sona's build, Archangel, Jeweled Gauntlet, Nashor's 2 don't really deviate from that. I think that's her best build. And then on everyone else on the Demacia build, it's pretty much the same stuff as before. The Thieves Glove is good because, again, we talked about it already. This is like the Star Guardian comp of this set where you just want a lot of items on a lot of your units and spread the love. Thieves Glove is really good for that. And also, you always run Swain in Demacia comps, but instead of running the Ziggs, you're going to run Kabuko and Yuumi. That way you get Invoker into your build. In the late game, it can be replaced for Zilean, but since you're doing 1-cost reroll, it normally doesn't get to the late game where you are able to fit in Zilean, so that's why it's kind of set up this way. But if you do get the Zilean, go ahead and put him in. For the rest of the comp, Gunblades are still good on everyone else. Runons is still good on Vayne. And then you want the Void Staff on your Lux because you want her to get the Magic Shred effect for the rest of your team. But apart from that, it plays just like the other Demacia comp. You just do a 1-cost reroll. That means not spending any of your gold and then rolling hard for the Sona. But you pretty much roll down on stage 3-1 at level 4, and then you econ back up and then find a time to all in for Sona and Jarvan. But an ideal level 5 board for the early game is going to be Sona, Jarvan, Poppy, plus a Defender and Invoker. The Invoker can be something like Anivia or anyone else, doesn't really matter. Defender can be like Rumble. Rumble's pretty good because it helps you unlock Kabuko because he's also a Yordle, but there is a lot of flexibility here. On stage 4-1, you want to roll for all your 3 stars, which is going to be Sona and Jarvan if you haven't hit them already. Normally you hit them before that, but stage 4-1 is the absolute latest time you can hit them because that's when you need to be strong in 1-cost reroll in terms of the timing of your game. After that, get to level 8, get 2-star Garen and Lux, and that's going to be pretty much game over after that. You don't really get to level 9 with this team comp because when you invested so much gold into the 1-cost, it's just difficult to get to. But again, if you do, you can play a Zilean over this Kabuko and Yuumi, and then play some other legendaries to complement that. Next build up we have is Veigar Yordles. Very fun comp to play with 2 hats. Just build the 2 hats and you're going to be good to go. Getting item augments really helps the unlock condition a lot. So I wouldn't really play this unless you start the game with a rod and then you get an item augment on stage 2-1. And then you could slam 1 hat. Like, I wouldn't just hard force this, but you can definitely angle into this. If you get something like Replication, which gives you 3 copies of an item component, like obviously, yeah, you can go for the rod. Deadlier Caps is another good option for this. But if you have 1 rod and then you get another item augment that gives you like random item components and you get 1 other rod, I'd say that's a good enough start to kind of go for this because you definitely will get the second hat by the time you reach level 8, which is the important part. And then this build really does get going. All you need is the blue buff or Spear of Shojin on Veigar to get some mana, and then I like Guardbreaker to complement him a lot because his spell already crits. Guardbreaker is a great way to complement that. And then, of course, you're going to be running the Ziggs, you're running Yordles, and every Ziggs comp is better in this patch, so that's why this is in the A tier. It's honestly good without the Ziggs, but obviously the Ziggs does help. For the rest of your team, main tank gonna be Wukong, Fizz is leftover items, and then other random legendaries can hold leftover items as well, such as Shyvana. Split the death caps because you don't want double hat on Veigar. You can use it like when you just unlock him and you don't have enough items yet, but eventually you will use your item removers on him and then put it onto someone else, such as Ziggs. Fizz can hold it in the meantime before you do get Ziggs though. But yeah, pretty fun comp to play. Double hats is gonna be really good, but don't hard force this without an item augment that gave you another rod. It doesn't have to be one that gives you a full hat. It could just be one that gives you one rod and then you get the other one on Carousel, and then you get another one from either another Carousel or a random drop from the neutral rounds. Next build up we have is going to be Brock. Brock is very difficult to play. I actually don't recommend people play this comp. It's a very good comp, but the thing is, because it's so difficult to play and they nerfed it, unless you really know what you're doing, I would kind of avoid this. But if you ever get Ixtal start, like 3 Ixtal on 2-1, then you could consider going for this. Apart from that, like if it's 2-3, if it's stage 2-3 and then you get Ixtal there, you have to be really good to play this. Another way to play this is if you're 100 life the whole game and you're on stage 3 and you get Ixtal, you can also still unlock Brock that way. It's just really, really, really hard. I'm not saying you can't do it, and I do believe in you, but I also believe my local sports teams can win championships when obviously they can't. I'm from New York, by the way. To play this comp, you need to do everything in your power to complete all your quests. You can get quest screwed, in which case, like, you have to just cash out early, and it takes a lot of mental fortitude to accept that defeat. Apart from that, like, just try your best to never click quests that you can't complete easily. I know that sounds very easy on paper, but that's literally like the instruction manual. And don't be too greedy either. But in the end game, the build is going to be Brock with IE Hodge. I like Sterix a lot as third item. And then you could do an Invoker build with Zilean like you see here. Skarner's a very nice tank to run with this. Or you could do an attack damage build with something like Kindred and a bunch of random units. Honestly, you can play anything with the Brock. The rest of your team doesn't really matter. You just play a bunch of random units. So keep that in mind as well. But very difficult comp to play. If you are able to do it, then great. But if not, like, pass on it, no worries. You could always play Ixtal and then win streak with it. Get a small reward by completing the quests that don't require losing, and then just use that as extra loot to play whatever other comp you wanted to play. You could do like a fast 9. Next build up we have is going to be Ekko Reroll. This is going to be the final comp of the A tier. This one is going to be very fun to play because 2-cost reroll. I think this is the first 2-cost reroll we have in this tier list, and it's really, really good if you are able to get the Diana item combo, which is Rageblade, Bloodthirster, and Titan's Resolve. But pretty much, if you get an artifact that's good for Ekko, I'd say that's like an autoplay, like assigned to autoplay this. You might be wondering what items are good on Ekko or which artifacts. Well, just use the Explorer, teamfight.lol, put an Ekko 3-star, and all you have to do is go to items and then switch to artifacts like we did before. Wit's End is absolutely tailor-made for Ekko. It gives attack speed, it gives magic damage, and it gives lifesteal. Like, what more do you want from an item? That's pretty much everything he builds already. Seekers is decent. Mittens I think is really, really good. Apparently Infinity Force is good. I haven't tried that one yet personally, but it makes sense. Like, Infinity is good on pretty much every melee carry, and because this guy uses both the AD and the AP, because he auto attacks and he's also an AP champion, it's pretty good. And obviously a bunch of the other ones work too. Like Death's Defiance, you use that to replace your BT. Zonia's just very solid, and then Flickerblade, good for replacing Rageblade. Special shout out to Lichbane. It might sound good on him, but it's actually pretty bad because he just doesn't cast that often. You want Lichbane to have a holder that casts a lot because it deals bonus damage after you cast your ability. So pretty much everything else good. We could take a look at the regular items here. Like, yeah, it's just Titans, BT, Rageblade. Like, pretty much no variation there. Like, look at the sample size. 137, 133, 123, and then 19. So pretty much always build these items. Don't deviate at all. But you just do a 2-cost reroll. That means going to level 6 on stage 3-2. You can pop this open if you want, like a nice little reference chart over there. But after that, you want to roll until you get Ekko 2-star on stage 3-2. That way you stabilize. Ideally, you have 2 Disruptor in. That's going to be a Malzahar in the early game. So instead of Seraphine, you'll have Malzahar in if you type Disruptor here. He's pretty much like the only 3 costs that you can actually play. And then obviously you'll have a couple of Zaahen units in too. So something like this, any of these units, obviously it's 4 Zaahen, you only need 3. So you could take someone out to put someone else in. Maybe you're running like a Zoe in the back line, or maybe you're running like you got a 1-star Taric. Sometimes that happens, right? Or you got a Leona. You could run those units too. But I like having a tank in there somewhere. But that's pretty much how you play the level 6. If you do somehow have 5 Zaahen, like you could play that also, but I doubt it, right? That'd be like Blitzcrank, Ekko, Vi, Mundo, Jinx. Like, it's kind of hard to have exactly those champions. But if you have a reroll angle, this comp is good. If you do full lose streak into this, it is decent to get. But especially because it makes it easier to get Singe, you need to lose 35 HP to play Singe. So if you ever lose streak, doing a reroll oftentimes is better than doing fast 8, and this is just one of those great options to kind of use that for. You want to hit Ekko 3-star by stage 4-5. And then after that, you just level up to level 8 and 9 and then play whatever you can. The tricky part about this comp, though, is balancing your HP, because obviously, like, losing HP is necessary to unlock Singe, but after that, you want to stabilize. So once you unlock Singe, you want to be as strong as possible, which is why you want to hit Ekko as early as possible. But I mean, like, that's true for every comp, right? You want to hit your primary carry as early as possible. But it's especially important in this comp because this comp falls off like a rock. It's like if you forget to refrigerate your milk when you brought it home. Your mom's probably going to yell at you the next day because she told you to put everything in the fridge, but you were playing video games instead. That's pretty much what this comp is like. Falls off super hard, so you got to make the most of the mid game after you hit Ekko 3. Next build up we have is going to be the B tier. So for the B tiers, like, yeah, Singe Seraphine, it's kind of the same logic. If you lose streak, you could play the Singe comp. It's a nice bronze for life board if you want to play around with that. We're going to do a speed run of these. Yunara Flex, still solid. If you have like the Rageblade Kraken combo from the early game and you want to go something, like Yunara makes the most sense. Doesn't really matter what Ionias you have. Like, again, all the B tiers are playable. They're not like bad, but you are going to get crapped on by some of the S tiers in a lot of cases. But if you get like an early Yunara with Rageblade Runons, like, of course you're going to play it, right? Like, there's no, like, it's not going to be a bad thing to do. It's still viable. It's not in the trash can tier. Like pretty much if we just go back to the top. But yeah, Shadow Isles is also really good if you get the right start for it. And also great beginner comp. So just because I put something low on the tier list doesn't mean it's necessarily low on your tier list. Like, you could have a own personal tier list for what comfort picks you have. And also, like, in beginner ratings, Shadow Isles is really, really good. Like, if we go to traits and then Shadow Isles, in Masters Plus, it's going to be averaging like 4.3, 4.0, depending on how many you play. But if we do like Emerald and below, like 5 Shadow Isles is like 3.85. And that's just because you just locked in on Shadow Isles and you just knew exactly what unit to put in after every single level up. So it's just a very simple comp to play. And 4 Shadow Isles is bad because the data means that if you're in Emerald or below, it means that you did not hit Thresh, which obviously is really bad. And that's why the average placement is 5.25. If you look at Masters Plus, though, and you look at the data for 4 Shadow Isles, it's going to be pretty good. And the reason why is because a lot of the players here, they purposely go down from 5 to 4 because they already hit Thresh and they want to play something else. So that's kind of why the data's lopsided like that. But how would I approach the patch? Well, if I ever get an angle to go Bilgewater, I'm taking it. If I get an Econ or good start, I'm going to be going Ryze or Ziggs. I kind of have like a opener check up here. So Bilgewater, and also emblems are still OP this patch. That's another reason why Ryze is so strong. But if you get any emblem, just hard force that emblem for a comp. Bilgewater, play Bilgewater. If you're win streaking, go Ryze or Ziggs, or if you have a really good econ. For reroll, Sona or Ekko going to be the 2 choices. And if you're not sure what to do Demacia. And then if you're lose streaking, do Singe Seraphine. So pretty basic stuff there. bunnymuffins.lol/meta for the full tier list and full instructions on how to play each and every single one of these comps. It's going to be very useful to you. Put it on second monitor, and instead of subscribing, instead of liking the video, maybe share the video with someone else that you know, or share the website. Maybe you have a friend who's trying to get into TFT. Maybe you're trying to get a TFT girlfriend. You could show them the site as well. And then for all your data needs for the sweaty people who don't have girlfriends or boyfriends, go on to teamfight.lol for all your data checking needs. You could pretty much sort for anything. But that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.